Catherine, did you get your answer? Did you get your question answered?
Yeah. So it sounds like an interesting topic that I'd love to
Cool.
be at and listen to all this mushroom talk.
Thank you, Danielle, for starting our recording.
You're welcome.
Yes, I want to say welcome to everybody who has joined us on the call. As always, we are recording our sessions. My name is Stacy Fritz. I am one of the patient advocates for Believe Big, and I have the pleasure of chatting with Karen Schrum again from Remission Nutrition. She is one of their oncology nutritionists, and just a pleasure to have. We've had her on a couple of times before, but today is going to be another exciting topic since we're kicking off this new year of 2024. To make sure that we take care of a little bit of housekeeping, I just want to remind everybody that yes, she's a wealth of knowledge. Yes, she's here to answer all of our questions. Yes, she wants to see your beautiful faces and hear your questions through either the chat or coming off of mute. But what we can't do today is we can't get into specific diagnosis where Karen's addressing whatever journey that you are particularly on at the moment. It's not to say that she can't, and she will. That's just not this call. So if you have something related to your diagnosis that you'd like to discuss with Karen, you can do one of two things. She's going to share her information at the end of our session today, but you can also reach out to me directly, and I will give you my email address again. Will be listed in our show notes. We'd be happy to connect you directly to Karen. But today we are going to be talking about a restart for the new year. I want to kick it off before I get Karen to jump right in and I pass off the baton and say, it is the third week, moving into the fourth week of January. I was sharing with the ladies ahead of time that this is the week that if you are somebody that is in the past set a New Year's resolution, this is typically around the time we start to see people fall off of that. So I want to share that setting a resolution isn't where we're going to be going. What we're going to be talking about is going even deeper, and how do we refresh and restart habits that will carry us through the year that don't feel like success to failure. These are things that we're going to talk about today as ways, little ways that you can kind of take a look at where you are right now and just do a little bit better. That would be my hope for you. So that said, I am going to pass the baton to Karen, and she's going to kick us off and share an overview of what we're going to be talking about today, refreshing our plans and some ways that we can go about doing that. How's that sound? Yeah?
That sounds great to me.
Cool.
Absolutely. Yes, I am not a New Year's resolution person. For one, my family is still on school break. I have 2 kids in school. So January 1st has never worked because we're typically busy doing family stuff. But what it is for me is a decluttering, a refocusing month. As I take down my Christmas decorations and get my house in order, that's usually happening at the early part of January, is I just continue with that decluttering process and go, okay, a year in review, what worked, what didn't, what am I doing? I always ask the question is that currently supporting my health? We're all on different parts of our journey. So let's say somebody was diagnosed and went through surgery in 2023. Is what they're doing, are they still doing what they were doing in 2023 to support those activities? Does that relate to 2024? And does that still support your health? Always being asked that question.
That's great.
So I like just to start there and go, okay, what have I done? What am I thinking? And so forth. And there's a couple of things that can help you get you down this path. One of them is just a personal evaluation, obviously, but we have this free quiz on our website, remissionnutrition.com. We are based on the metabolic approach. We look at 10 areas of somebody's health. We call them the 10 terrain. And there's this quiz that kind of walks you through these 10 terrain areas and says, you personally answer the questions, and then you get a score at the end emailed to you, and you can kind of evaluate where you are. And I'm going to jump into that quiz in a second, but mainly if you've taken the quiz before it's a good time to revisit it. If you've never taken the
I
quiz
agree.
before, it's a good jumping off place just to look at your overall health and go, what's out of alignment? What's out of balance that I can be working on through 2024? Okay.
I love that. And I've taken this quiz a bunch of times. I'm really excited that you're going to show it to our listeners because, first of all, it is an opportunity to do something that doesn't cost you anything. And I think what it does, Karen, beautifully is it segments it, like you said, into the 10 different areas that we don't have to overhaul everything, but it kind of gives us a big overview if we combine them, just to be able to say, can we tackle one or two things? Are we doing better? Because as we know, health changes from year to year, and what might not have been appropriate last year or might have been a different answer on the quiz allows us to kind of update. And I really appreciate you wanting to show this to our listeners. So please, this is number one, right, of the train?
Yep. So this walks you through all the areas. The first one listed is genetics and epigenetics. So you just answer these questions. Do you have a known DNA SNP or mutation? How often do you eat certain foods? Do you know of any disorder happening in your body, such as a thyroid disorder? Family history of cancer, so forth. So as you go through and answer them, you just click next, and it takes you to the next section. Okay. There's always little snippets in here of telling you why the heck we care about your genes. Why does a nutritionist care about your genes? So this kind of helps you understand where we're coming from a little bit. And there's a nice introduction to this. Once you're done, this maybe will take, I think it took me 7 minutes to fill out. Once you're done, that report is emailed to you. You will get a number score per terrain. The higher the number, the more you need to focus on it. Okay. So when I originally took this, my highest score was the hormones. So I have put in a lot of emphasis on helping my hormones rebalance. Now it would be fun for me to take this again, right? And to re-answer those hormone questions and see, did my score come down? Do I feel like I'm addressing everything that I need to address? And what else? What's my next highest score? I'm just going to keep focusing on those top high score areas and seeing if I can get a lower score.
I just think it's incredible. I mean, this is, to me, it's like, I know I geek out on this stuff, but the reality is that sometimes I think for all of us, we're like, are we doing the right thing? What do we know about? What don't we know about? It's really hard to get to, I hate to be funny, but the root cause of like some of the stuff, but it really comes down to it's information. It's information. And you can do it once a year, twice a year, to just kind of guide you. I feel like it's like a bit of an anchor that says, I'm a little out of balance here. I'm just going to concentrate, and gives you a way of not tackling every little thing and a way to focus, which I love. Awesome. Anybody have any questions that's on the call? That feel free to come off mute. I will read your chat line. Ask Karen the questions about this. Does everybody understand what the word epigenetics mean? Everybody understand what the word terrain mean? Please don't be shy. This is all of us together. If you want me to, I'm just going to go ahead quickly. Karen, can you just tell us what the word epigenetic means? And what do you mean by terrain?
Yes. Let me tackle terrain first. Okay. We believe that there's 10 areas of your health that could be affecting your cancering scenario. Okay. If there's an imbalance in hormones, if there is a genetic SNP, that you're not addressing correctly to help with proper genetic expression. That I'll get to that in a second. What can you do, lifestyle and nutrition, to help strengthen that terrain area?
Yep.
Okay. Let's say you have a breast cancer diagnosis. It's ER positive, and we're always going to look at that. We're always going to look at your diagnosis, and we're always going to look at your treatment plan that you've chosen on. But what's going on hormonally? That tells me there's something going on hormonally. Are you a good detoxifier? Are you, are xenoestrogens coming into your life? That's my job, to help you rebalance that terrain so that you're kind of shutting the door on cancer. You're saying, hey, cancer, I don't want you to thrive here anymore. Right. So I'm just going to rebalance every aspect of my life. Okay. Epigenetics is the study of genetic expression. So what we now know is that we have this DNA double helix, okay? It opens up, one gene is pulled out, the body produces that, and that's how genetic expression happens. But what we know is that we're not victims of those genes. Certain genes will be expressed, certain genes will not. Why? We know there's all these environmental influences on DNA genetic expression, and a lot of those have to do with chemicals
Mhm.
and stress. And also this guy right here, the power of the mind,
Mm.
your belief system. If you are in a negative thought pattern, that can negatively affect your genetic expression. Bruce Lipton, the founder, the main guy of epigenetics, has so much information on this, a book called Biology of Belief. He has modalities that he suggests for people to help them reprogram their subconscious.
Mm.
So the understanding that and looking at somebody's genetic profile and going, yes, you may have this gene. And I'm not talking about cancer genes. I'm talking about the genes that are affecting your digestion, your detoxification, your methylation, hormones, cardiovascular. What do you have in those categories that we can help properly support healthy genetic expression through diet and lifestyle?
Mm.
And if you happen to have expressed one of these not so happy genes, what can we now do to better support your health due to that?
Yeah. So let me recap, let me summarize, and you tell me if I'm spot on. When we talk about terrain reminds me, if you have a garden inside of you, right? And it's flourishing with, fruits and vegetables and whatnot. The terrain that's out of balance is allowing the weeds to flourish and thrive. The weeds representing perhaps a cancer or whatnot. What
Yeah.
we're trying to do is remove any opportunity for any weeds to grow to the best of our ability. Do I have that right?
Correct. Your body is the soil. And in this scenario, the cancer is the weed. What can we do to not have weeds growing and flourish, this
Keep
rich
it.
soil? What do we need to do there? Yeah.
And in terms of epigenetics, tell me if I have this right. Epigenetics to me in the simplest forms means we have our genes that we are born with. Epigenetics means above and beyond that. Beyond what we are giving up here, epigenetics is what we can control. Things, behavior and lifestyle things that we can get above our genes to make sure that we are cultivating or thriving, have a thriving terrain. Do I have that right?
I think that's a great way of looking at it. I often say your brain is the contractor, your DNA is the blueprint. The contractor looks at the blueprint and says, what are we going to build? Body. Okay.
Oh, that's great.
So yes, yes, we're not victims. We
Control.
can do certain things to help with really healthy genetic expression. Yes.
So most of our listeners don't have video on, but the ones that are on, give me thumbs up. Are we clear before she continues on? I just want to make sure everybody's good. Good. Thank you. All right. So we've taken our quiz. We know where we need to focus our efforts on. What next?
Yeah. Instead of thinking of, I need to make a grand statement of a New Year's resolution, back off from that. I'm a visual person, so vision boards work for me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have multiple things that I want to be a priority in my life. So I put them down visually on a vision board. And this is my vision board for a couple of years ago. I'm currently revamping this. I don't know if you guys can see this. Hold on, let me get my camera. My daughter and I are going to revamp this together, so I haven't updated it, but you see words, you see pictures of what was important to me 2 years ago, and it has been a guide. You see nutrition career, you see family, house projects. This is what my faith goal is to live by purpose, right?
I love that.
I was dealing with grief. So these two things are about letting the light in and smiling and figuring out how to move forward. So anything can happen here, right?
Yeah.
I'm done with my house project. That's coming off. I am now trying to be a gardener. That's going on.
I'm all about it, Karen. And I will say for our listeners, if you've never done this, this is a wonderful activity to not only do quietly by yourself, but it's also a great opportunity to do it with friends, with family. It is amazing. It's something that we do in our family. And I know with Believe Big, we start off the year with our one word intention. Where the mind goes is where the energy follows. And what I will say about those vision boards, call them whatever you want, but bringing them into a place, not only creating that, but also having the ability to take a look at that, because it does focus the efforts towards what you want to draw into your life, because there's lots of noise out there. And I love what you did on that, being able to pull things on and pull things off. We've just made them, a new one every year, but that's a unbelievable idea to draw in the energy to kind of guide you in the direction of what you're asking for. So I love that. I really love that. And you could make that a nice ritual. You can make that an annual event. It's a great time. Don't think that January is almost over. You can't do it. You can do it anytime. You can actually do it anytime. Just collect a whole bunch of magazines, go to the craft store, lots of stuff like newspapers, whatever. And what you're doing is sitting quietly, just asking for what you'd like to receive, and act as though you've already received it, and then throw it up there on that vision board and watch the magic happen over the year. I just, when we were talking offline, when I saw that you put that on there, I think it's super special, because sometimes I think we make conversations much harder than they need to be. And when we really think about it, we are the pilot of our health, and asking for what we want to receive, it just takes us one step closer in our healing process. So I love that.
Awesome.
I love that.
And you mentioned intention, that, you guys come up with a one word intention.
Yes.
The next thing that I really love is kind of based off of that is just coming up with a theme.
Mm,
What's an overall theme you want for 2024?
yeah.
Okay.
Did you pick yours?
I did.
Maybe?
Mine is
What-
movement. Mine's physical movement.
Yeah. You know what mine is?
What?
Mine is the word breathe, and it has so many different layers to it, but breathe to me is, I'm super excited about 2024 and the opportunity to bring that word just closer to my heart. I think I love the vision board and the one word intention, side by side, something to anchor me and then something to aspire to or take a look at or invite in. So I'm going to stop for a second, because I do want to give our listeners a chance. If anybody feels comfortable coming off video or coming off mute, if that's something that you do or something you're excited about, love to hear it from you. Again, not just Karen and me. I know, Danielle, you want to share your one word?
Sure. My one word for this year is self-care. And I did as well.
Say it again.
And I did create a vision board.
You did. How about anybody else? Anybody else do that? Catherine, you do that?
I did one word last year I got that idea from this, and that was, healing.
Mm.
And then this year, I think, since you just mentioned, I hadn't actually given it a whole lot of thought, but it's, just to bring back my health. Because now I'm, kind of recovered sort of, and then I just want to get back into health and stop any more cancer, because I have 2 separate cancers at the same time.
So Catherine, I'll push you a little bit. What's your one word? How do you say that in one word?
One word would be health.
I love it. That's beautiful. Beautiful. We're wishing you the same. Anybody
Thank you.
else? Anybody else have a one word intention or a vision board? Anything that they want to share? That's okay. We'll keep rolling. Just some really nice little ideas. Everything that we've spoken about, taking the quiz, a vision board, an intention to start off the year. What about that to me, it doesn't even sound like work. It just sounds like joy. If you think about it, taking time to pause and really think about, how do you see this year unfolding for yourself? So I love that. All right, Karen, what's up next?
Well, and just a little thing to think about with your theme or your intention is a micro goal. And I'm talking small. I'm not talking big picture of everything you're going to tackle for the year. So for instance, as an example, my micro goal off of physical movement is I'm literally sitting on an exercise ball right now.
Yes, you are. I see that.
Yeah, I've moved my
Rolling.
chair And that's my micro goal. So yes, I want to have bigger, lofty things. I want to move an hour every day. I want a lot of outside time. But what's one little thing that would support health, Catherine?
Mm. One thing, you're still on mute.
I'm trying to get off. Sorry, I was trying to get off mute. Well, I diet. So I've adjusted my diet and I'm trying to lose weight and
Yeah. So those sound pretty big to me. What about mushroom coffee as one of those micro goals?
Yes, yes,
that would be something to start as a micro. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So don't have to be big picture and feel like you've got to conquer the world. Take that baby step, right? And then feel good about it and then take another baby step, So
You're talking about my love language. This is what I do away from Believe Big, as I own a corporate wellness company. And what I try to do to get employers to adopt this is we call them micro health habits. So what we know to be true for folks who are sitting all day long or standing all day long is still sedentary behavior. What can we do that disrupts sitting, that doesn't disrupt the workflow? And what we're finding is that these micro health habits, employers and employees are more willing to take 5 minutes to do a stretch break, to sit on a ball, to actually engage the standing to sitting process, and to set little timers. Again, what I love about what you're saying, whether or not it's called a micro goal or a health habit or whatnot, is I believe that we have a lot more success when we reverse engineer where we're trying to go. And in order to get to where we're going, it's made up of series of steps. And those series of steps, when they are connected, end up in that lofty goal, Catherine, like, losing weight or changing your nutrition. But you had to do some things and stuff in order to get there. And that's where I feel like our culture, we don't do a great job, because we do jump to the big thing without recognizing that these small steps all lead to that one big step that that one big goal that we're trying to accomplish. So I did really appreciate the micro goal. And I love the fact that you're sitting on a ball, engaging that core. I think that's awesome. There's so many different ways you can go with that, which is terrific. So setting us up for success, Karen, where are we going?
Yeah, and you just kind of said that, right? This is one of the things you can do for success. But I like to also look at this time of year and go, oh, xenoestrogens, you're not my friend. Knowing you all know now that hormones used to be a big thing for me. So this is a good time to kind of scrub your house. We can't control outside influences on toxins and chemicals and pesticides, but we can look at our home and revisit that. I like to take January for that. I'm indoors anyway more because I live in Colorado and there's snow on the ground right now. So what do I mean by that? Your kitchen, your bathroom, and your laundry are the biggest culprits for where toxins can creep in. For me personally, it's the kitchen. I will have a daughter come home with a really crappy plastic water bottle from some event. It lands in our water bottle drawer. So just kind of looking at my kitchen and going, all right, where can I possibly lessen xenoestrogens, toxins into my family's world? Last year, I had plastic measuring cups. Why I had never seen those before, I have no idea. But just, again, fresh eyes, new year. What can you do in your home to make it support your health? Going back to that first question that we start at, is this supporting my health? Always ask that question.
So are you recommending eventually, I know we're going to take the micro steps towards it, but are you saying the goal should be no plastic ever?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Shoot for that as the big metric. Like, we are trying to eliminate all plastics, because I just saw on the news, and maybe other, all the rage right now is the Stanley Cup. That's what everybody got in my house as one of their Christmas presents. And now all of a sudden they're like, please make sure that you are really washing out those lids, because that's a place where mold can creep into those lids. So again, I thoughtful attention to all of it, but I do know that I have plastic in my kitchen, and I'm just curious, is any plastic acceptable?
No. I don't care if it says BPA. over time, it's going to leach. Whenever you expose plastic to heat, so whether that's a microwave, a dishwasher, you are eventually breaking down that substance and it's going to start leaching chemicals. I don't know if you guys saw this crazy article at the beginning of January about the microplastic in everything.
No.
It's in our cells. And they're saying, well, where is this microplastic coming from? Well, we knew it was in water, but it's also in the clouds.
In the clouds?
It's in the clouds.
Oh, my word.
And so what are we supposed to do with this, right? We can't control clouds. We can't even control what tap water, is providing us. But when it gets to our bubble, our home, we can make an improvement there. Right? We can have air purifiers. We can make sure we have a good water filtration system. We can lessen plastics in our world. So that is exactly what you're saying, Stacy. Plastic food containers, storage containers in the kitchen, plastic bags, plastic water bottles. These are xenoestrogens. They are known endocrine disruptors. They are known toxins. So taking a good fresh look at your kitchen and going, where am I? Where am I? Do I have plastic spatulas? Do I need to replace to stainless steel or bamboo?
That's what I was just getting ready to ask you. Let's just say somebody on the call is really aggressive and they're like, okay, that's where I'm starting. I'm just going to overhaul my kitchen. If we're not going to use plastic, what is our next best quality? You said stainless steel, you said bamboo. What other choices do we have?
Glass, always safe.
Yep.
Stainless steel. Silicone is right now seems to be okay. There's not any negative research coming out on silicone. So as far as something in the freezer, that feels like a better option than plastic. We make sometimes those LMNT gummies, those electrolyte gummies. I have a silicone mold for that. Okay.
And then that's okay. Right now.
As far as we know, we receive research as it comes in. And as far as we know, silicone seems to be okay as far as a toxin burden scenario.
What about those lids that are on mason jar glasses? We can buy the ones that they come with and it looks like a metal. And then there's the additional ones that look a little bit better, which I'm assuming are going to be plastic.
Yeah.
What is your position on the metal ones?
I hand wash mine. You know what I mean? I'm not
Okay.
putting them in a heat scenario and they're not touching the food. So again, we do the best we can, right?
Yeah.
Until you find your favorite food storage item, then you just do the best you can. Mason jars are super affordable. You get them in a case of 4 or 6.
Yeah.
Hand washing the lids, sticking the glass part into the dishwasher, totally doable. What makes me nervous about those those metal lids is sometimes they get rusty.
They do.
Obviously, if you see the rust, you just throw that away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do the best you can. Great question.
All right. So now what about surrounding ourselves with the right messages? I thought that this was a really interesting one. I get it, but I'm curious to know if our listeners have heard this before.
Yeah. Okay. So here you have a theme, a goal, a micro goal, whatever it may be, your vision board. What can you do to surround yourself with the right message to help you reach that goal? Obviously, for me, I listen to a lot of health podcasts to support what I do as a living, as that's part of my goal as being a nutritionist. So if you had a goal, let's just say detoxing, let's stay on that theme. Finding podcasts that could help you understand what xenoestrogens are, understand what toxin burden means. There is a ton of them out there. That can help you go, this is really overwhelming, Karen. You're telling me to go through my house and do what?
Yeah.
Find a podcast, read a book, talk to friends, talk to us. You're doing everything you can to better support your outcome, if that makes sense.
Well, and then also looking at us as the anchor, the person themselves as the anchor, and who are you going to invite to your team? Because the opposite of that for me is words matter. So I'm gonna just take a quick leap here and just say, if we're sitting there in front of the TV and we are listening to all the negativity and all of the stuff that is happening right now, and I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't be well versed on every subject out there. I'm not suggesting that at all. But what I'm suggesting is that when you are healing, even when you are healthy, I think that those words matter based on what you just said about the contractor and the body, and you know what I mean? What we're nourishing our hearts and our minds with, that counts too. It's not just about the plastic. It's about what kind of ingredients and what kind of messaging. Is it a loving message? Is it a helpful message? Or is it pulling and stealing from joy and adding in anger? As we know, I mean, if you can take it back to Ayurvedic tradition, and we know that emotions connected to disease state, I won't derail, but I'm just saying anger is a big component of this. And I feel like releasing or letting go of, or saying no to opportunities to let that stuff creep in, that would be a micro goal of mine all day long. I am going to be intentional about what I consume news-wise, book-wise, podcast-wise. So I think I'm not trying to take it to a negative level, but choosing things that are supportive of you, supporting what you want to do, not pulling from that.
Yeah, I love all the words you're using. Absolutely. And, you know, if we take a step back and look at how our society talks about cancer, it is a fight. It is a
battle.
We are warriors.
Yeah.
What do we know about war? There is a winner and a loser.
I agree.
And we are going to war with the bodies that were God-given. None of that feels good.
Ever.
So I want to pause here and just tell you about a new book. And maybe you know about it.
Let me hear.
The Journeys of a Cancering Conqueror.
No, I'm going to put it in the show notes though. Journeys with the Cancer Conqueror. Who's it by?
The author is Greg Anderson, who is a thriving cancer person. He has another book, but the reason why I love this book, and I will have to tell you that Remission Nutrition is going to do a joint read on this in this program, because there's exercises in here. So you read a segment and then you go through the exercises, you answer the questions. So we're going to be going through that in a group environment. I love this book. I want to read something really, really quick just to give you an idea.
Yes, please.
The mental aspect of all this. Cancer is really an opportunity, perhaps even God's direction for us to change. I often think of cancer as a gift, a valuable opportunity to reshape life. And when I begin to understand the depths of this truth, my whole thinking about God and life and cancer changed. Isn't that refreshing?
Oh, beautiful.
So this book is just filled with it. If you've made a decision to get conventional treatment and you're down about it, don't be down about it. Get excited about it. You've chosen that path to increase your quality of life, to give you an increased chance of curing. So embrace that. Don't doubt it. This isn't the time to doubt that, right? So I can't say enough about this book, and we're gonna our next session kicks off in February. So we're gonna
talk about that at the end, right, with us?
Yeah.
So that's really important. I just want to reiterate what you said about reframing how we speak about cancer, because that word battle, that word warrior, that word fighting automatically puts us in a state of not nourishing. When my brother was with me, he and I made a big deal about not using those words, that we were trying to coexist with the cancer diagnosis and not allowing it to overtake conversations, overtake our day-to-day, overtake his pathway towards healing. We chose to lowlight that and put it in a way that was, now he did that for his children, but you know what? It was very helpful for our entire family because we stopped using that language. And we also didn't highlight the word because we were inviting in health. We were asking cancer to back down.
It's always important to remember you are cancerine, you are not cancer.
Exactly.
So however you need to do that, those are lovely examples, Stacy, of renaming it. We renamed it cotton candy.
Yeah.
When sister was going through, we would call it cotton candy because cotton candy melts in your mouth, goes
There
away,
you go. There you
dissolves.
go. There you go.
Or
Or not saying I have cancer. You didn't actively choose to have that, so don't claim it. You know, I mean, I think again, it goes back to, it sounds like a little woo-woo, and I hope it doesn't sound like that to you all. That's true. Words matter. It matters to our, like what they say, there's issues in our tissues. Your body is listening. Make sure you're filling it up with the right stuff.
For sure.
You know, so anyway, let's get, because I don't want to lose the opportunity to get to two really important. This is about nutrition. So I want to talk about, to make sure that we have enough time to talk about specifically some nutrition refreshment. And then also, I'm super excited for you to talk about these opportunities for our listeners to jump in with you all. So share with us. I'm going to be quiet. I swear, because I just get so excited. Sometimes I forget. I feel like I'm having coffee with you. Give us our nutrition feedback or ideas for refreshing there.
Right. We're coming off of a month that usually entails a lot of sugar, a lot of parties, a lot of travel, and bad food can creep in all those scenarios, right? As we're celebrating Christmas. So do an evaluation of your December. Was there extra cookies? Did gluten sneak in there in the cookies? Are you caning on to those habits into January? This is a great time to say, what do I need to, dial back in? So here's some things to think about that depending on where you're at in your nutrition journey. One may be slash the sugar. You don't need it. You're going to get natural sugars from fruit possibly, but what can you do to eliminate the sugar? Set a time frame around this. Are you going to do it for 2 weeks? 2 weeks is a really good time frame to slash sugar because it allows those glucose receptors to let go and lessen the cravings, right? We know the first week can be tough. Yeah. So if you can make it to 2 weeks, you're pretty much in the clear. Another way to look at this, if you're like, Karen, sugar is really not my problem, but yes, I had a lot of carbohydrates in December, is to do a 3-day carb tracker. Where are you right now on your total carbohydrate intake? Low carb for my world is 40 to 60 grams of net carbs. Okay. How well are you doing with that? Where are carbs coming from? If you are eating a gluten-free bread, that's going to be high in carbs, even though you may be taking a step in the right direction, being gluten-free, that's not necessarily low carb. Are you eating a lot of starchy carbohydrates as far as vegetables? Are you eating rice? Are you eating quinoa? Because quinoa sounds like a better option than rice. What's the carbs in your rice or in your quinoa? So do a 3-day carb tracker, see where you land. There's no judgment. There's no right or wrong, but you should understand what your total carbohydrate intake looks like today. Okay.
And there's lots of apps that can do that for the Chronometer, I think, is one of them. They just have to look at the app store, right? Do you have one that's your favorite?
Chronometer is my favorite because it's so wonderful. You can scan barcodes, so you're not logging everything in. You can save favorites. You can add your own recipes in there, and it breaks down all the carbohydrates. When I say net carb, I'm talking about total carbs minus fiber grams is net carbs. Okay. Another really fun thing is to look at the season. If you are like, yep, I'm low carb already, then this is truly the season for keto and for fasting. Why do I say that? If we look at ancestral time where there wasn't any grocery stores, and we didn't have fresh fruit at our beck and whim all the time, and you've run out of your storage of whatever you grew over the summer, then you're out of fresh produce. You're probably out of canned goods. And now you're maybe living on meats and whatever fat is with that meat. And you may just have no food and you may be fasting. So this is the natural hereditary time to look at these programs because this is what was happening back in the day. Does that make sense?
100%. Anybody have any questions on that? Do you follow what she's saying? This is wintertime. It's the season of you're going to do it, now's a great time to take a look at it, because based on our history, that's exactly what was happening prior to.
Correct. Is anybody out there doing keto as a 2024 kickoff?
Anybody going to admit to it? I'm just kidding. Catherine's going to do it.
Awesome. Do you have any keto questions that I could quickly answer for you?
Well, I'm doing more of a low carb kind of keto. I don't know if it's fully keto.
Okay.
If there's a program called Ideal Protein,
You know
and that I'm following that program.
Okay. All right. That sounds great. Keto is about 75% fat consumption. So keep that in mind. Fat is our friend, always and forever. Healthy fats, obviously. And to reach a ketogenic ketosis, you have to have enough fat on board to produce the ketones.
Mhm.
Okay. So protein may be a really good low carb start of saying, I'm going to provide protein to my body for proper energy. But to do keto, make sure you got enough fat in there for sure. Protein in my world is usually in moderation and always a side dish, because we need it. We need those amino acids, but we don't want too much of it, because excess protein can produce glucose. Okay. So think about that, mull it over. Keep tracking. If you're not using an app, track it. I usually do keto every winter. I have to track because I will overconsume protein every stinking time. So it's just an awareness exercise for you to understand what you're doing out of habits and how that reflects to the program you're trying to do.
Will you still use that app to kind of segment you down to see whether or not you have the 75% fat and the not too much protein?
Yeah, I set a ketogenic profile,
Yeah.
right, in my setup instructions, so that it tells me what my targets are, and then I can see how I'm doing. I usually log breakfast, log lunch, and then I'll pop back in there. So before I eat dinner, do I need to change anything
Yeah,
to help me reach my goals?
that's great. That's great. What about the new labs and testing?
This is a good time. If you haven't done labs in a while, this is a good time to add that in. It's another layer of information. How are you doing metabolically? Lipid panel, the complete metabolic panel, complete blood count. What is your fasting glucose? What is your fasting insulin? What's your A1C? How are your triglycerides doing? Do you have any inflammation going on with your 3 inflammation markers? LDH, CRP, ESR, or sedimentation rate. This is a good check-in moment to help you, again, stay on course. If you have inflammation, we know cancer loves inflammation in the body. What can we do to lower inflammation? Do you need to look at an anti-inflammatory diet?
Yeah.
So keep all that.
And how about water? Just one quick comment on water.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this is a good time to check in on that, and it's something we can all do. The rule of thumb with water is drink half your weight in ounces of water. Are you there? Are you drinking coffee and exercising? Then you need to add more water, right? So get a new bottle, treat yourself to a new glass bottle, and make sure that it's 30 plus ounces to reach your goal,
Yes. And then also the quality of water, which we'll tackle that one another time. We've spoken about it in the past. Again, Karen and I never want to overwhelm. This is just information. You can take parts of it, you can take all of it, but making sure that you have a clean water source is, of course, on top of her list as well as mine. All
Yes.
right. So
right.
as we bring it home, we're at 12:44. So I'm not going to meet my target of 12:45, but I think we'll meet before 1 o'clock. So Catherine doesn't have to miss anything. Karen,
I have till
I am
1:30.
I'm so excited for you to talk about Remission Nutrition and this program that you all have named The Nest. So just as a reminder, Karen works for and with Remission Nutrition, and they have kickstarted this new program called The Nest. And I was thrilled to hear that she was going to be able to talk about it today. Would you just kind of give us the 411 on what is The Nest and what do we have to do to get involved?
You bet. We launched this program in 2023 in hopes of giving people more nutritional support that maybe not be able to afford a package with us.
Mhm.
Okay. So we do this monthly. You sign up as a membership. It used to be 3 months. Now it's 6 months. And that helped bring the cost down for people. We meet for an hour the last Friday of every month at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And we discuss all things nutrition. We usually have a theme to the talk. But what we have created is this community. And it is this really raw, safe place for people to share. And that has just organically grown to these wonderful conversations that we now have. So what we've learned is we not only need to talk about nutrition, but we also need to talk about some of this emotional support too.
Mm.
And the first things we're doing, as I mentioned, is we're going to do a joint read of this lovely book. We're also going to look into vision boards.
Mm.
2 of our practitioners do Reiki. So we did one session at the end of last year on Reiki.
Mm.
We're going to do more sessions of remission nutrition in the kitchen because that we realized was a huge thing. What that looks like is maybe we're going to do a joint group meal prep and
I
meal
love that.
plan. We sometimes created, last year we did sauces. I did a keto cookie for Christmas and demoed that and how quick it was, a pumpkin pie pudding.
Mhm.
So we are trying to give more support all around, not just with food, but a sense of a community that we all have something in common,
Yeah.
a place to ask your questions that are sometimes tough.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And of course, I'm going to throw my hat in there. You're going to have me on to speak about the breath and how important that is. I would love to come
Yes.
and share that information. The other thing is that based on Believe Big's opportunity to offer grants, either in the way of our approved mistletoe providers, we also can use those grants to support Remission Nutrition. You are one of our partners, which is just incredible. And I'm curious, I'm saying this out loud, but that 6-month membership for $279, I'm curious. So I'm going to leave it at that, but I love what you all are up to there. And so the way I see it, the way we were talking about it to start off with, we are giving our community many different choices based on what they're interested in, where they are in the cancering journey, and what they can afford, which is always my heartache, because this is the job that that our listeners did not apply for. And now all of a sudden we're thrown into do this, do this, do this, do this. And I just love that we can kind of steer people in the right direction when they are ready and give them choices, because it seems like everything out there is just incredibly expensive. And this is not an easy financial journey. I know that to be true. And so I just think the more options that we can give them, the better. I would like to jump into the nest and see what's going on. So thank you for that. And thank you for spending the time with us. It has been, as I expected, awesome. I want to pause for a second and make sure that we don't have any listener questions on the immediate. And also to provide you with my email address, which is stacy@believebig.org. If you don't remember that, don't worry. You can go to our website, www.believebig.org, and you can find all of this information, including Karen's, but I just wanted to give you choices. So pausing, any questions for me? Catherine, you got anything that you want to say before you head out?
So when I was diagnosed, I think I applied for the grant, but then I never used it because I kind of went into this deep depression. Anyway, I'm doing better now.
Catherine, you reach
So-
out to me directly. We'll talk about it offline. Absolutely. That's not a question for me. Okay. And I'm
Okay.
happy to point you in the right direction. Seth, I know you're at work. You got anything to say, brother? I'm so happy that you joined us. If you had to step away, there you go. There you are. You look
Yeah.
great. How do you feel?
Yeah, I feel wonderful, refreshed from the trip to Colorado, and just ready for a reset. A lot of what you guys were talking about today just really resonates with me. And the vision board, the words, I'm thinking of health and love and gratitude. And, this all sounds wonderful. It's just the timing really lined up well. So
It
thank you
really
for
did.
everything.
Couldn't
that
you just
you're
listen to
doing.
him all day long with that
Yeah,
stuff?
absolutely. I know. I can't wait to go back and listen to this again, because I was like, I have to make notes and who wrote that book, and all the little nuggets that are in here. So thank you so much for doing this. It really, really hits my heart. So thank you both
Yeah,
and
yes,
everyone.
sir.
Yeah.
We're happy to
Okay.
see you. Like I said, I'm
Yeah.
super excited. So have a great day.
Perfect.
Listen,
Y'all too.
everybody have a great day. We love you and we are here for you. And if you need anything at all in the way of patient advocacy, all the way through prayer service support and also nutrition support, listen, don't hesitate to reach out. That's what we're here for. Catherine, I will look for an email from you and I
Mhm.
will point you in the right direction. Karen, I adore you. Thank you so much for joining me. I meant what I said. I'm happy to return the favor if you want to chat about that. And Danielle, thank you for setting us up for success. We
Yeah.
will see you next month and look for the next topic. We've got 12 picked out. I just need to find a lucky nutritionist. You all take care. Have a great day.
Thank you.